Zcash is a cryptocurrency that was created in 2016 by cryptography experts who loved Bitcoin but wanted the option to make transactions more private. So they took Bitcoin's open source code and enhanced it with a technology known as the zero-knowledge proof. The result was Zcash, a cryptocurrency with strong privacy features. But you might think, isn't Bitcoin private already? Why do we need Zcash? It's a common misconception that Bitcoin transactions are private. In fact, Bitcoin transactions are mostly public. Here's an example. Let's say we have two friends, Peggy and Victor, and Peggy wants to send Victor some Bitcoin. She asks Victor, "What's your Bitcoin address?" He shares it with her, and then she sends Bitcoin from her address to Victor's. The transaction is secure, but it's not private. That's because Peggy and Victor can look up each other's Bitcoin balances and past transactions simply by pasting each other's addresses into an online block explorer. With a couple clicks, they can see how much money the other person has. This means that Bitcoin is great for transparency, but it lacks fundamental privacy. That's why Zcash was created. If Peggy used Zcash instead of Bitcoin, she'd have options. If she wanted her transactions and balance to be transparent, like with Bitcoin, she could create a public Zcash transaction. But if she wanted more privacy, she could create a private Zcash transaction, which prevents anyone but Peggy herself from viewing her balance and transactions. No one else. This is what makes Zcash so powerful. It gives Peggy or Victor, or anyone using Zcash, the freedom to choose what to reveal about themselves. It was designed for privacy, but ultimately it offers choice. The cryptography experts who created Zcash believe this choice is a big step forward for economic freedom. Not just for Peggy and Victor, but for everyone. There are a lot of ways to make a purchase these days, and they all have a different approach to privacy. First, there's cash. When you visit a grocery store and buy something with cash, you don't have to tell the cashier how much money you have in your wallet or what purchases you made last week. You simply exchange your cash for groceries and continue on your way. Cash is private. It doesn't tell anyone your name, your address, or how much money you have, but you can't transmit it digitally. So in today's networked world, what do? One solution is the credit card. It does a lot of things that cash cannot, including work online and across borders. But credit card transactions aren't private. Your name, address, purchase history, and balance info are stored by card issuers and merchants. So they know things like how much credit you have, what you buy, where you travel, and they can block your card too, leaving you without a source of funds. Which brings us to cryptocurrency. Crypto is open, global, and decentralized. Bitcoin is the most well-known, but it's not fully private. Bitcoin is a public blockchain, which means that financial transactions using Bitcoin are transparent. Everyone can see them, not just a payment processor or merchant, everyone. It's easy to look up the balance of any Bitcoin address, as well as all of its past transactions. Then came Zcash. A good analogy to compare Bitcoin and Zcash is HTTP and HTTPS. HTTP is the technology that lets you browse the web. When the web was young, hackers regularly captured sensitive financial information as it moved from computer to computer across the internet. That's because the original web protocol, HTTP, wasn't encrypted. This changed when businesses and financial regulators realized that encryption was necessary for financial privacy and consumer protection. They created a new standard, HTTPS, that appears in your web browser today. HTTPS is secure HTTP. It keeps your information private as it is transmitted over the internet. When it comes to privacy, Bitcoin is similar to HTTP, and Zcash is similar to HTTPS. Bitcoin's lack of privacy is why a team of expert cryptographers created Zcash. Zcash is a privacy-protecting cryptocurrency. It combines the privacy of cash with the global reach of crypto. When you use Zcash, no one can see your balance or past transactions unless you explicitly want them to see it. Zcash was created because the team behind it believes that financial privacy is a fundamental human right. Zcash keeps your financial information safe so it can't be sold, shared, or spied on. That's a big step forward from what we have today. And in many ways, it brings us back to the privacy we've always enjoyed with cash. But it's cash upgraded for a digital, networked global economy. It's Zcash. Zcash is a privacy-protecting cryptocurrency. It has two types of addresses: shielded addresses, which fully protect your financial privacy, and transparent addresses, which have balances and transaction histories that are viewable by everyone. Transparent addresses work just like Bitcoin. They're public. Shielded addresses, however, are private. They don't reveal balances or transaction histories. Zcash lets you decide what type of address you want to use. For example, if you're running a charity that values transparency, you might use a transparent address so other people can verify each transaction. On the other hand, if you're just doing some personal shopping, you might use a shielded address so your balance info and past purchases are kept private. So how do Zcash's shielded transactions actually work? Zcash's shielded transactions are enabled by a cryptographic breakthrough known as the zero-knowledge proof. The zero-knowledge proof allows anyone to prove they know something without sharing what they know. For example, let's take two people, Peggy and Victor. Peggy sends Victor some Zcash, and both of them use a shielded address. Thanks to Zcash's implementation of zero-knowledge proofs, Peggy can pay Victor without either of them revealing their balances or prior payments. So Victor is happy because his info stays private and he knows for sure that he got paid. And Peggy is happy because her financial info remains private too. Zero-knowledge proofs make Zcash's privacy possible. They allow Zcash payments to be private without a bank or credit card company in the middle verifying every transaction. And ultimately, they make Zcash's vision of a decentralized, private, global currency a reality for everybody.